Over the past few months, we have been gathering information about the large impact vaping has had on our society. In this short documentary, we have gathered the opinions from a variety of sources, both positive and negative, and this is what we found. The first part of our research went into asking those around the college about their opinions on vaping, during which we can see the majority of people who took part in our survey said they did not vape or smoke, and that their thoughts were people did it as a trend or to seem cool amongst their peers. In response to our research, we went to interview the opinions of someone who has worked around vapes and e-cigarettes for a long while. Someone who works at Viking E-Cigs in Walsall.
It's Maria and I work at Viking E-Cigs in Walsall. Okay, so I've been working in the vape industry about 8 to 9 years now.
We also decided to interview the opinions of someone who's worked with youths around the area, a social worker with the Sandwell Children's Trust.
Yep, my name's Paul Wareham and I'm a social worker by profession. No, I do not vape.
I like vaping for what it was intended to be, which was a smoking cessation tool. Not liking the way it's heading, where it's becoming more of like a quirky trend.
I think people vape currently for a couple of reasons. One, as a way of stopping smoking normal cigarettes, shall we say. Others do it because they prefer the flavours, and I do think peer pressure is part of that as well.
In my personal life, I would be more of the belief that if it's vaping rather than smoking, I would rather anyone vape than smoke. But when you're talking about people whose bodies are literally still developing, we don't know what the effects could be.
My personal opinion on vaping is that given the choice between vaping and smoking a cigarette, I would smoke a cigarette. Yeah, I think it's bad, just as I also think cigarettes in a young age is bad, because although they may be reasonably safe for an adult to use, for a child the body's still developing, the lungs are still developing, body's not fully developed till into your late teens, early 20s, maybe longer. So for me it would be something I would very much try and dissuade any child that I worked with from, and I do, from smoking or vaping.
So when it comes to children getting hold of vapes, and I do say children because anyone under the age of 18 is legally a child, it's disgusting in my opinion. You know, you've got, say a 13 or 14 year old wants to vape because they think it's cool. Their lungs aren't done developing, their brains aren't done developing. We don't know what nicotine does to the brain in the concentrations that they're vaping it at. And my issues with it are twofold. So there's the health effects, and then there's also the uneducated side of it. You know, I get kids coming in here trying to get served, and when I'm having a discussion with them after refusing to serve them about why they're wanting to vape in the first place, they're like, well, the nicotine strength's only 2%. But they don't know what that means. They don't know, they think it's low nicotine, and it's not. It's the absolute legal limit, and they're putting that into their bodies and into their brains, and we don't know what the effects of that will be. So no, I don't agree with anyone letting kids get hold of vapes at all.
No, I don't think there are any positive impacts to vaping, except maybe it could be said that it's a way for people to stop smoking, but from what I've seen, they're just swapping one drug for another, so they're not really looking at the heart of the problem.
The positive impacts of vaping, it can be a lifesaver, quite literally in some circumstances. I mean, you know, you'll get customers coming in who have developed COPD, who are suffering from various types of cancers caused by smoking traditional cigarettes, and within a few weeks their health is improving. You know, they can breathe better, they can do more. So for that sense, it's hugely positive. For what it's intended for, the smoking cessation, there's only really one negative side effect of vaping, which is that it can dehydrate you a little bit. But if you look at the wider reaching consequences, it's becoming more trendy. People are wanting higher and higher nicotine strengths. The industry has become, on one hand, more regulated, but on the other hand, less regulated because illegal products are getting in, and that's what I don't like about it.
I think vaping is it's newish technology. It is changing all the time. I think it needs those of us that are trying to persuade the younger generation away from these sort of things need to up our game in what our knowledge is around them, so we can provide that information for the young people. But ultimately, I think vaping is here to stay, whether people like me like it or not. So it is just something I think it's important that health professionals continue to monitor and to research.
See, I've got two views on it. There's my professional view and my personal view. That's the normal age that people would start smoking, would try cigarettes, like traditional cigarettes. And of course, with the studies done by Public Health England that says that vaping is 95% safer than smoking, of course, in my personal life, I'm of the belief that rather vaping than smoking. Professionally, kids getting hold of vapes is harming the industry. If the industry is to continue in anywhere near the way it is, it will collapse in the next 3 to 5 years, because the government in Scotland, I don't know if you're aware of this has been announced in very recent days, the government in Scotland are moving to ban disposable vapes. The industry as a whole has changed a lot over the years. So when I first got into working in vaping, it was very community minded. You know, you had the likes of Vape Expo, you had the likes of vape meets within individual vape shops. Everyone kind of worked together to self-regulate the industry, and it worked really well. But I've found, particularly with the invention of disposables, people are just becoming more and more, oh, I'm just going to vape, even though I've never smoked, and it's cool and it's trendy and it's quirky, and then I'm running into all kinds of health problems because I've never smoked and now I'm putting stuff into my body that doesn't belong there, and it's absolutely ruining the industry, absolutely ruining it.
Yeah, just quit. Don't swap it for something else. Don't try and reduce the amount. Just stop and stay stopped. Difficult, but it can be done. Once the first 2 to 3 weeks are out of the way, the rest of it gets easier. But the only way to stop smoking is just to stop. And just stop smoking. Some people may need to chew gum, some people may need things in their hands because you use your hands a lot when you're smoking. But for me personally, it was just a case of I just stopped. Woke up one morning and that's it. Didn't smoke.
If somebody wanted to quit nicotine altogether, I would say do it slowly. So bear in mind, nicotine is more addictive than heroin. Quite a lot more, several-fold more addictive than heroin. Probably due to the fact that it's so accessible rather than it being actually physically more addictive. Slowly, cut down, replace it with something healthy, because one of the main side effects that you didn't actually mention there of quitting nicotine is an increase in appetite. Nicotine's an appetite suppressant, quite a strong one. So quitting nicotine can lead to obviously weight gain and all the issues that comes with. So I would say replace it with something healthy. Just remember, vaping and smoking are all about the habit. The nicotine is a small part of it, but it's the habit as a whole. So replace it with something that you've got easy access to, and something that isn't going to harm your health. That would be my main advice as a professional. You know, be medication based. You know, a lot of people go down the Champix route. which has its own side effects, which I won't go into because I'm not medically qualified to do so. But even if it is medication based, if you really want to quit, replace it with something. Don't try and just stop, because you will end up going back, and you'll more likely go back to the more accessible version of nicotine, which is smoking. I think it'd more just be to people who have never smoked. Don't vape. It's not clever, it's not quirky, it's not a stress reliever. Nicotine is not a stress reliever. It actually causes your nervous system to go into overdrive. It's a stimulant. You know, even if you are smoking and you want to quit, if you're under the age of 18, please try non-nicotine alternatives first. Don't be going into the shops that will serve you with the illegal vapes that haven't been tested. You don't know what's in them. Just think before you get into something that could end up being a lifelong habit.
The idea behind it, I do believe it was one of the government's ways of trying to stop young people from starting in the first place. So they thought it would be difficult to change the legal age, but obviously they've changed the age that you can buy them. It does make it that little bit harder for young children or older children to get their hands on them, but it ultimately won't stop the young people from accessing vapes or cigarettes if that's what they want to do.